Hey everybody, it's the Kitchen Table Magician, and I just wanted to say I've had a really good time pawing through my box of Eternal Masters and going through the cards and just reminiscing about when these cards were new and opening up, the original versions and booster packs back in the day. And so I thought I'd kind of put a sampling out here of the things you can expect to find in Eternal Masters, except that I remember getting these cards when they were new and playing with these when they were new. I've got Maze of Ith, which has always been one of my favorites, and this is one of the ones I got in a dark booster pack a long time ago. Caracas, I actually bought at a card shop in Bozeman, Montana for $2.50. A guy it was a sports card shop. We didn't have gaming stores back then. This was about 20 years ago. But a lot of local card shops would start to carry these, this Magic game and a few others that came out at the time that are, long gone now. But I remember buying that for like $2.50 back in the day. Sylvan Library, I think this is a 4th edition. I've always enjoyed Mishra's Factory. I don't have any Legends, or I can't remember no, this was Antiquities. I don't have any of the Antiquities versions, but I do have a playset of the 4th edition ones that I use. Nev's Disc. This was always one of my favorite artifacts from back in the day. This is a revised. Swords to Plowshares got printed through 4th edition, and it saw printing in Ice Age, and then that was it. We never saw it again. And we had a Path to Exile that came out. I think that was Shards of Alara block, and then we never saw that again. That was the only time that was printed. So this is one of the best white pieces of removal ever. So I'm glad to see it get a reprint in Eternal Masters. Chain Lightning, this is always fun. It's not quite Lightning Bolt, but it's a very close second. It actually has, if you're playing against a red opponent, it's got a little bit of a drawback, but other than that, it's basically a Lightning Bolt, but fun. Hymn to Torek. Now, this is from Fallen Empires, and Fallen Empires did something kind of cool in that there was multiple artworks. So it was fun to collect all the artwork. Hymn to Torek had 4 different pieces of artwork with it. And so it was fun to collect all of these different pieces of artwork and then run one of each in your deck. And this was my favorite artwork. I always liked the colors in this. So that was a cool thing that Fallen Empires did. And then they did that a little bit in Alliances, but then never went back to it again. Visions, Mana War. The artwork hasn't changed for Eternal Masters, but of course it got the new frame. Llanowar Elves, green staple. Oh, this is my German version. Okay, this is fun. I just noticed that. Llanowar Elfen, Bonschworgen von Elfen, and I'm sure I butchered that completely. But anyway, loved Anson Maddox. He was one of my favorite artists ever. Rest in peace. He's a great artist, contributed some fantastic pieces to the early game, and this was always one of my favorites. So when I saw the Foily Judge promo, I traded this from a friend that had, this is a Foily DCI promo, Judge Tournament promo, I think, with the original artwork with the updated frame, and it's all in foily treatment. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous card, and I had to have that. So, coming down the road here, Armadillo Cloak. Now, I'm not a big fan of creature enchantments unless they just do something that's going to win you games if your opponent can't deal with it. Armadillo Cloak is one of those. I remember when this came out. If you play this and your opponent can't deal with it, it can swing games so badly. And I love the flavor text. Don't laugh, it works. So, Curd Ape, one of the most aggressive creatures ever printed for a 1-drop. And this was Arabian Nights. I have a bunch of revised edition ones. Then we never saw it again. And then it did get a reprinting someplace else, but I can't remember where. It was in that Exile, from the Vault Exile, at least. It got a reprint. That's it. So we haven't seen this since revised edition, so this is a good reprint, I think. It probably still is the most aggressive 1-drop. I can't think of anything else that's more aggressive than this for a 1-drop. Pitch Spells. Alliances had the Pitch Spells. I don't have Force of Wills, but I do have Pyrokinesis. I used to have some Force of Wills, but I sold them about 3-4 years ago. I got some really good money for them, and helped me make a mortgage payment when I got in a tight spot. So I've used magic for that, too. And then, Peregrine Drake. This is from Urza's. And this was a broken cycle of cards. When you play this, you get to untap up to 5 lands. There was this, there was a fairy, there was a whale. And then the broken one, Time Spiral. For 6, You discard your hand, shuffle your entire graveyard back in your library, draw 7 new cards. Your opponent does the same, but then you get to untap those 6 lands. So that was an incredibly broken card in this cycle, and I do have that one in my draft cube. So yeah, this is a strange reprint, especially for them to bring it in at common, but hey. Counterspell got printed in just about every core set until, well, geez, it was in Tempest, Masks. I think it was in Urza's, but I'm not sure. But right around that time, I think they quit printing it, and then they started coming up with other strange versions of Counterspells that costed more. Never again did we see a 2-drop just straight up Counterspell until Eternal Masters. They reprinted Counterspell, so cool. And then one of my favorites of all time is Prodigal Sorcerer, aka Tim. I had one of these in my very first starter deck. It was a revised edition starter deck. The first cards I ever owned had a Prodigal Sorcerer in them. I loved the way that he looked. I loved what he did. He's one of my favorite cards of all time. So these are great old cards. I remember that I just have a lot of nostalgia with this stuff. I remember playing with it when it was brand new. So those are the old masters. And it's great that Wizards is bringing back some of this stuff and just really blinging it out, putting the new frames on it. It looks spectacular, giving it a great facelift. This was the Foily Maze of Ith that I pulled in my box, which I've decided to keep. It's a gorgeous card. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to go ahead and sell my Caracas because I already have a Caracas, and so I can get some money for that. Sylvan Library, it's all got just great new artwork. It's just so updated for new players and even old players. I mean, I enjoy this. Even being an old player, I'm enjoying the new look. I'm enjoying the new feel, but I'll always have a soft spot for the cards I used to play with, 20, 25 years ago, and I still play with them. I've never not played with them, but it's just fun to pick this stuff up, go through this, and just see how this game could have looked had the technology been there, and you know what I mean? Because it looks great today. It really looks just awesome today, and I love this new Counterspell. That's beautiful. So yeah, so that's Eternal Masters. I'm calling this episode Old Masters, and I've just had a lot of fun going through it and enjoying the old cards and the new cards all together. So cool. Thanks for watching.